Okay, there we go. Now we're off. Okay, we're off.
And yeah, am I still on the same story? Yeah.
Yeah.
He said to he went and recorded his stuff, and I heard his stand up. It's very funny. And he would meet other comedians and famous comedians and that sort of stuff, and they'd say what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing, and that. And he had a funny take on a whole bunch of stuff. So it was basically about the way he sort of started was, he'd go through his day, and there were situations that he'd go back and look at, and he'd have that sort of different way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Now the dog wants to get out. Just hang on. All right, I understand. And so, yeah, it's really is funny if you thinking of some quirky thing that happened, say at the supermarket, but you dress it up by the way you drive down to the supermarket, what happens when you go there, and you do all this other sort of stuff, and then tell what happened there, and then you take a moment and you stretch it.
Yeah.
By adding all those things to it. And yeah, you'll get 5 minutes out of something that was probably 30 seconds,
Yeah.
So he and we devised a show where we were going to do a show where we would say, okay, we'll get comedians in, would-be comedians, and then put them in different situations to see how they go. But to dress the show up, we'd bring in professionals to show them how to do certain things so that it would, it was a reality show that was, that you would say take 10 people, but you would bring these other comedians on that, had more experience and stuff like that. And we placed them in different situations. And anyway, this other show came along called Last Man Standing.
Yeah.
But they take professional comedians or would-be professional comedians, and they put them into situations. And it wasn't anywhere near what our kind of show was. And it was a lot less interesting. And basically, the guy who won it was a Vietnamese immigrant who basically did the same routine over and over. They were just different situations, but it was the same thing from his life being in America, right? And his mother was the foil, He ended up winning it. So all the comedians who were watching the show going, basically the people who voted for him just like him.
Yeah, exactly.
And everybody else, and there was these other guys who were professionals who were very good who got voted out.
Mm.
And so we said, well, we need a better we need a better setup than that,
Mm.
And so there, it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
But I've still got it in my file somewhere.
Yeah.
We'll still make a good show today. It really would.
Yeah.
But yep, no, they didn't want to do it. So
they did that in the 80s and stuff, didn't they? That type of show. I'm sure I remember seeing something like that here.
Not really.
No, I'm sure we did. No, I'm sure there was something like Last Man Standing here. It's what we need. It's definitely what you need. It's definitely something that they need to bring on.
Excuse me. Oh, yeah.
Have a drink. Yeah, I actually
went the wrong way.
I was watching a video clip the other day because I bought a microphone because they said to us, like in all our training things, it says get a microphone so you practice handling it, holding it, and all that sort of thing. So I bought the microphone and then didn't have any instructions or anything. So I thought I'll go online, and I found this guy in America who was teaching about how to handle the microphone, whether it's on the stand or you're free holding and that. Mm-hmm. And he actually writes jokes, and he actually writes the same as how John Cleese writes. John Cleese will go into a room, say on a Monday. He'll write for 90 minutes, like sit down for 90 minutes. Now, 30 minutes is his head trying to get rid of all the things going on in his brain, and then he'll write for an hour. Then the Tuesday and the Wednesday, he goes back in for 90 minutes each day, and he just sits and rewrites, and then on the Thursday, he performs it. So, and he's done that ever since long before Monty Python Footlights time. So I thought, yeah, that's quite a good idea, you know, just to get into that habit.
Well, I remember Red Skelton,
Yeah.
the great Red Skelton.
Yeah.
He would do that. He, after his show, he used to go back, because they travelled a lot. He would go back to his room and he would write after the show was over.
Yeah.
He would review his show and what have you, but he would write stuff, and he would write poetry. Would you believe?
Yes.
And he'd write funny poems. And he'd write, you know, beautiful poems, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever subject came up, but he made sure he wrote through till midnight. And as he's a bloke, he said, well, he didn't drink, didn't smoke, didn't do anything else, and that was what he did. But he still did it every night. And this was like an interview I saw him in the 70s, in the end, into the early 80s, where he said he still did the same things. And so he would have these books of poetry that he wrote over the years.
Wow.
And after his wife died, he would write her a letter every night, and all this sort of stuff. It was amazing. Yeah, it was amazing stuff.
He's a lovely man. He was lovely. I loved Red Skelton. He was great. Yeah.
And so if you Google him on YouTube, you'll find the stories there. And
I must
but
look it up.
he was like that. The English comedian, British comedian, Ken Dodd.
Yep.
Ken did these shows that would go for hours. He said they evolved over time, but basically through the 80s and the 90s and that, his shows were legendary to go 3-4 hours.
Wow.
And he would just write this. He'd have reams and reams and reams of stuff.
Yep.
And I went to see Billy Connolly once, and he was on stage for 3 3/4 hours, and my bum went to sleep about the 2-hour mark. And so for the third hour, my back was hurting.
Oh no!
But then he got going again in the 4th hour, the last 45 minutes, and it was really funny stuff at the end of it. But it was way too long. But the Billy has always said, he said that I go out and whatever takes my fancy, and he just goes.
Yeah. Just talk.
I remember it was at Seagulls, and the green room staff were there, and his wife Pam was there, and he was just, before the show starts, you know, he was standing, he goes, Pam, he said, well, so what am I going to talk about? And she says, whatever you ordinary talk about. He said, but I've got nothing. He said, what do you mean you got nothing? In the middle of a tour, you know? He said, yes, I don't want to talk about the stuff I've already talked about. He said, I want to talk about something else. And she goes, well, talk about something else. He said, but I don't know what. You know, and he walks out, and 3 hours later, he walks off, drenched in sweat. And he's going, yeah. And she said, that was about 3 hours. And he goes, was it? He said, I felt like about 5 minutes, you know. And she said, well, you thought of something, didn't you? Thought about what? He said, well, you said before the show you didn't know what to talk about, but you went out and you talked. And he goes, did I say that? He says, yeah. He said, oh. He said, oh, I was talking about a couple of things. And that stuff he goes off on tangents and what have you.
Yeah.
And it was hilarious. It was hilarious stuff. And
because it's all relatable. That's what I mean. That's the thing. If you do it's relatable comedy, everybody gets it.
It's like, I remember, you know, different times of sitting, say, at a party, perhaps even, or, you know, just different times that maybe there was a bunch of people there at the place where you were, and someone tells a joke and it reminds me of a joke. So then you wait till someone else tells that, then they come back and you tell a joke, and then the other person does, and then they say that, and then that reminds you of something. So the next thing you know, you see the whole an hour and a half's gone by, everybody's telling jokes. And it reminds you of this, or just talking, just different subjects come up and remind you of a funny story.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. My dad was like that, you know. We'd be sitting around talking, and then he'd remember a story, and funny as. And you go, what the hell's that all about? You know, it's just inside here there's these things whirring around.
Yeah.
and they're quite funny. I've gone to shows and had, sort of fans that haven't been there for a while would come up and say, "Oh, g'day, mate, how you going?" I was, "Yeah, good. Are you going to do so and so tonight?" And I go, "Which one?" The story about such and such. I go, "Oh, all right, yeah, I'll do that for you."
Yeah.
"Oh no, you don't have to do it for me." And I go, "No." So I brought a friend along, because they tell them, they'd say, "Oh, we saw you do this."
Yeah.
And occasionally you get reminded of something and you go, "Okay, yeah, I'll do that."
Yeah.
So you end up doing stuff that, and then it's slightly different from the way you told it before and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Can you hold your thought for 2 secs? Hang on.
I certainly can.
James is saying he couldn't get on, so I'll just resend. I'll send him the link. Hang
Okay.
on. I'll send an invite. Hang on. Now I might disappear because I've got to go off into my emails to do it. So
Yep, that's all right.
I think I do. Hang on a seckie. So stay with us. Where are we? Where's the invite? Oh, I can hear you, so you're still there. What's James? James Caulfield. Okay, I'll close that one off. Oh, I've disappeared. Hang on. Oh, I hate this thing. Hang on. God, I can hear you, but I can't see anything. What the hell? Hang on. Meetings. Join. Wow. Go back in. There I am. I'm back. Oh. Okay, we're gonna get talking. Yep. He'll pop up in a second. So
Okay.
he's an IT. I don't know whether it's because I jumped out to send you another invite and I lost my link. I don't know what's going on. So,
Right.
yeah. But yeah, so sorry I interrupted you. So
No, you're fine. You're fine. It's those ones like the train of thought conversations that you have that remind you of things and what have you, and you go to those things. It's like I've found that you sit there and you meditate on stuff, and then the stories tumble out after you finish the meditation, and you just put them down and like little headlines and that sort of stuff, and go boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Well, I've had people sort of say, you should tell that story on stage, and I go, well, okay, I've never thought of that, telling that one or this one or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And they go, no, that's quite an interesting story. And I go, oh, okay. So, yeah.
It's like I was watching. Sorry to interrupt. I was watching a comedian the other day. She was talking about going to a gynecologist, and I thought, oh my God, yeah, the memories of those. That is such a good line to go along. So I've been writing about that. So that's my latest thing I've been working on, going to the gynecologist. So,
I remember one of Bill Cosby going to the dentist, and it was just hilarious. It's 20-minute routine, and the couple of lines that came out of it, he said, I remember that if I ever lose the use of my limbs, I'll be able to walk on the cheeks of my ass. He didn't say it that way, the cheeks of his bum,
Yeah.
And then the punchline of the thing, the way it finished was, because when he got the painkillers and the thing, and they couldn't took and he did this thing, and the guy says to him, "There's something wrong with your lip." My lip, and the way it was absolutely hilarious. And then at the end he takes this drink, and there's a big long line of spit.
There you go.
From the thing to the thing, you go, "Oh, look, a rainbow." Sees the line through the light through the spit.
The spit rainbow.
That was the way it finished. It was just something really innocuous, but everybody's been to the dentist. They all sort of got an idea of what you're talking about.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually written jokes about going to the dentist. So,
Yeah.
It's there's lots of things. There's things that happen to you every day that you can write about.
Yeah. Pointing out, the obvious things that may not seem obvious to people, and just like how everybody's talked about from over the years is you get a shopping cart with one wobbly wheel, right?
Yeah.
So everybody knows that one. It's
Yeah.
like, so when you go on a shopping thing, it's to see something, and then when you come home, a little thought jumps in your head. Write it down, and you elaborate on that, and what have you. So he's coming up now.
He is. He's coming in. Cool. Yeah. So, hello. Oh, can't hear. Hang on, James, you're muted.
Still.
Okay, what about now?
There you go.
Yep. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, so this James, this is Danny James.
How are you, James?
Danny, nice to meet you, mate. How you going?
Very well, very well. Yourself?
Yeah, well, better now.
Oh, that's
Sorry,
good.
mate. I don't know what
Good.
happened. Danny didn't have the link, and I had to re-invite him. So I don't know whether that threw us all out. I don't know what happened. So
That's okay. We're here now.
very good. Very good, very good. We're just talking about writing jokes and stuff like that. So
I have been a singer and a performer all my life, and there is nothing scarier to me than being a comedian. I don't know how anyone does it. I would absolutely freak, because
thanks very much, James.
well, you can hide when you're a singer. You can hide behind the music. You can the music sort of is your assistant. You're singing, and you're singing someone else's words. And like when I'm dressed as Elvis, that's even more, because I'm dressed as Elvis, so I'm hiding.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're a comedian, there's no hiding.
No, that's true.
Right in front of everybody, and you're having to, and what's worse is they're sitting there like, oh, come on, make me laugh. Come on, what are you doing?
I know, and they purposely don't laugh. They sit there going, no, I'm not going to laugh. I'm just not going to laugh.
Oh yeah. And they spend more time hassling you and heckling you. I think that's probably one of my favourite episodes of Seinfeld, is where the girl was saying crap to him all through it and ruined his set.
Yeah.
So he went to her office, and he's having a go at her exactly how she did it to him. And I'm like, yeah, that's like every comedian's dream, that one.
Yeah. No, it's that's something that every comedian comes across, and it's never you don't know when it's going to happen. You'll get those gigs where everything just sails through, and it's fantastic, and you wish how long's this been going on. But the ones where you're struggling a bit, and whatever, especially I suppose early in your career and stuff like that. There's all sorts of experiences that you get. But standing up in front of anybody, giving a speech, especially, or being a comedian is tantamount to people's worst fear. And so it's really weird. Excuse me. It's really weird that I saw a guy on supposed to be the world's toughest man. In as much as this guy has done something like, I don't know how many marathons. He holds the world record for pull-ups over so many hours and what have you. And they're sort of saying that he's not so much the toughest man, like he can take a punch or anything like that. It's just his endurance and what have you, and his muscles and all this sort of stuff has been rated as in this absolutely super high level. And the interesting thing about him was he said his previous experience. Basically, he got to 300 pounds, and he felt pretty useless growing up and what have you, and became a slob or whatever, that sort of stuff. So one time he decided to he was going to just get fit and just lose this weight and what have you. And as he did it, he set himself some goals, and he became a Marine, and he became a Navy SEAL. He became something else, like in all these different categories of the highest level of these guys. And he's the only man who's ever done it. And what the interesting thing about the whole thing was, he said, everybody says I'm the toughest man they ever met. He said, what I really set out to do, which I didn't know in the first place, was to conquer my mind. And he said, if I could control my mind, I could control anything. Now I can control my body, I can control things around me, the whole thing. He said, as long as it pertained to me. He said, I can't control anything a long, long way away or anything like that. But as long as I can control my mind, I can control everything. And he said, so what I had to do was jump over all of my fears. And he went through every single fear he could think of, jumping out of an aeroplane. When they did the training for his Navy SEAL stuff, there was like being in the water for so many hours. They were in mud, they were all sorts of things. And he thought about spiders, snakes, all sorts of things. He was going to conquer all his fears. So whenever one came up, he said, that's what I had to do. I had to go and conquer that. And he said, so when he did the these lift ups over like, I think it was 17 hours or something, right? And they said, how could you do that? How could you possibly physically do it? And he said, I escaped in my mind. I controlled my mind. So that's what we do when we do a stand up or we sing or we whatever. It's
when you give birth. Giving birth is exactly the same. I used to do that.
Well,
I used to just go. You go into a meditation state and you don't feel any pain.
Well,
Best
you've
way to
beaten
do
us
it.
there, Kay.
Sorry.
Not like
Well,
either of us.
I got no
Not like
idea
either
about
of us
that.
can say it. Yeah, we can't. It's like we can go. Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, like
You're supposed to be holding hands, and there's being holding the hand.
Look, I was there for my ex, and I was there, and helping along and everything. But what the hell can you do? You
can't. No, I just actually, sadly, I was listening to Julio Iglesias on the music, but that was okay. And I just looked at the clock. I used to look at the clock and then just meditate to that time. And then you just don't notice it anymore. It's the best way to give birth. It's brilliant.
Yeah. I always tell young singers when they're going up, never think of yourself bigger than the game. But when you get up there, think to yourself, I deserve to be here. I deserve to be singing. I deserve to be a performer. Yeah. Not that I'm better than anyone else, but that I deserve to be out singing in front of you. Because then that gives you that confidence to be able to say, yeah, I can take anything. And I always say to them, you've got to do the hard yards. You've got to do the crap, the gigs where, even now, when you do Elvis and they're drunk and their behavior is just disgusting. It's just, that's part of the deal. You just got to keep moving on and keep doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not doing Elvis anymore, are you, James? You said that last week. No.
Yeah, no.
Does Danny
officially retired.
Yeah, Danny, do you do Elvis?
As an impression, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I got sick of it, Danny. I've been impersonating, tribute artists for 20 years, and I've had it. I just want to do my own thing, my own stuff, and I don't care how many gigs I get out of that, as long as I get to just do my own music. I've released my own albums, and it's not as difficult as it used to be. Actually, it's very easy to do so. You can produce everything yourself. You can. It takes time, but you can then release it on. It's still fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I got a son who's he does his own stuff. He does like electronic music, but there is the lyric and everything there, and he writes and he sends it away to people to put a lyric on it and sing. So he's got a contract to write the music, put it together, and then he sends it away. Other people put lyrics on it. And then releases it that way. And he's just at the very early stage of that, but he's been doing it for a while, but he's at the very early stage of being professional. So, and he's taken the theory practices in piano and guitar and stuff like that.
Good man.
But if you'd have said to me that your son was going to be writing music one day and exporting it and what have you, and I would have said, are you sure you're talking about my son? Or I've got a daughter who's more that way, and she's a writer and what have you. But him, it just blew me away that he's now doing that.
It's great, isn't it?
But he's also doing he's doing a stockbroking course and all that sort of stuff as well. So I would have never believed about that either. So it's like, he's doing because he's interested in it. He's done some public things and pretty much thrown in the deep end at nightclubs and stuff like that, and it's succeeded. But he knows, he sort of come back to me and he said, "Oh, Dad, I'm going to need more experience." I said, "Son, you can be here till you're 80, and you're never going to get a handle on that. I mean, you just got to keep doing it and doing it and doing it." And I was kind of fortunate, I think, in some ways, because just the way I felt about it was when I first started, I felt like the audience was kind of with you, with me, in a lot of gigs. They wanted you to do better because what I was doing was a little bit different. I wasn't just standing there, stand up. I was doing impressions and playing silly songs and stuff like that, and poems, funny poems, all sorts of things. And I think because, I don't know, it was just a little bit different, and I felt some of the audiences were bringing you along. And then there was the tough gigs, obviously, and you don't know which ones they're going to be until you actually show up to do it, because sometimes you say yes and you don't quite think about, what this is and what it's going to be. I wrote a song about 40 years ago and for rugby league. So they wanted me to come out and sing this at football games. And the first game they wanted me to sing it at was 1980, 81 or 82 State of Origin match in Queensland, in Lang Park. And I never gave it much thought. I just thought, oh, you walk out, stand there, just sing the song and you walk off. And the guy comes to me and he gives you a microphone and he goes, "There you go." I go, "Where?" And he said, "Out in the middle of the ground." I said, "Out in the middle?" And he goes, "Yeah." I thought it was going to be in front of the grandstand, And I go, "You're kidding." So I go out there and I'm waiting for a signal of some kind to start, right? Because there's no music. I can't hear the music. And I'm not kidding. This is 1981, I think, or 1982. And I'm standing there and I think, the music starts. And I could hear it. And the music was just a chord to start. So I start singing over the top of it, and I'm starting to realize I'm 3 seconds behind it.
Oh, no.
So I'm going, "You're kidding." So I get this thing. So I waited for the chorus bit to start, and I'm trying to time it in my mind to actually sing this thing. So I've got a finger in my ear, and I'm trying to hear that music, and I'm hearing me, and it's going boom. Anyway, it gets about, the crowd starts getting not real happy about this, and so the music stops, and I'm standing there on my own, and I'm thinking, this is the greatest fuck up I've ever been involved in, and I'm thinking, how do I get out of this? So I said, bugger this, I can hear me now. So I just started singing the chorus, and I knew they knew the chorus. And there was a part of it where it goes dum da 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 da, ooh, like this, right? So the crowd would get to that part and they go, ooh, and I felt this rush of air come from there. There's 33,000 people there, and this rush of air just came onto the field and almost knocked you over. And I just sang that about 3 times and then got off, and they all went, "Yeah, beauty, get on you, mate. Piss off, we want to see the football." And I walked off, and I'm standing there, and I looked at the bloke, I gave him the microphone back, and I said, "Don't ever do that to me again, mate." And he turned and he said, "Well, that's all right, mate. We won't get you back here again." And I'm going, "Really?" You know, they rang me back for, I think it was in September, and I was doing a major semi-final, and they had this set up in front of the grandstand. The radio station had done the thing. So I'm standing, I said, and they've got a fold back and all that. I said, "What's that?" He said, "That's to hear yourself back." I said, "Oh, didn't have done one of those back in June." And so I learned, "Oh, this is a fold back, is it? Oh, right." So you're learning all this stagecraft as you go along. And I did 10 minutes of comedy in front of the grandstand at a football match, a major semi-final. And I wouldn't wish that on anybody. There's blokes down the front just looking at you, just staring up at you going, "Who's this idiot and what are you doing here? We're about to watch a game of football. We want to see men.
I don't want you there.
Apart. We don't want you telling jokes." But I end up doing this routine, and I'm looking down, and I can hear everybody laughing. They're all starting to laugh, and you can see these blokes. I was concentrating on these blokes sitting down. About a dozen of them, and I'm watching them one by one start to laugh. And I think, "Thank Christ for that. I'll get out of here alive." And I did that. And when I look back at it and I think about it, if you'd have asked me now as an experienced person of 45 years, would you do that? I go, no freaking way. Would I ever do that now? Unless I had this, and this, you know. But those were the days when it wasn't done.
Yeah.
No one did that, you know. There was no corporatization. There was no corporate things at all. Records were still vinyl, and you still sold them out of the boot of your car. You know,
Yeah.
if you didn't sell them in the store, right? Everything was brand new. So, and somehow I got away with it. I don't know. I somehow got away with it, and so I put it on my resume. They said, "What's the biggest crowd you ever performed in front of?" I said, 33,000. Lane Park, 1982. And they go, "Right." And then the major semi was about 28. But anyhow, I remember being in America and telling the stories, and they'd say, "Really? You did that?" And they go, "Yeah, I mean, it just happened." And you'd learn, you know, you'd go to, you perform on the beach somewhere on the back of a truck, and you had the band set up on the truck and what have you, and the speakers and everything, but everybody's just walking past, you know, and there's a crowd behind that sitting on grass and that, with all these, just as hundreds and hundreds of people just walking between you and the crowd as you're trying to entertain them. There was stuff like that. There was out in the bush, and all the lights go out, and the bloke said all the diesels run out in the generator. So we'll have to go into town, get some more diesel, put in the generator. So can you just hold it for a minute? So we all went outside the hall, and people put their cars all around the big semicircle, and I'm up against a 44-gallon drum, playing the guitar, singing songs around this with all the headlights of the car going. There was all that sort of stuff. There was, and then you go to the arts centre, and everything's there. You know, the sound, the light, the thing. The guy gives you an intro and everything, and the audience is there ready to laugh, and he gives you a couple of $1,000, and you walk off and you go, "Geez, how easy is this?" But when you do those other ones, that's the ones where you learn how to do that craft. You're sitting there and you're going, "Wow, I've got to make them laugh. You know, I've got to entertain them." And in those days, it was like you grabbed anything and everything. Yeah. So it made you appreciative of that sort of stuff. But even today, you can still go to a place and die. You know, even if you, for some reason or other, they don't want you there. Or...
You're not building my confidence up very much, Danny.
Also, to remember, Kate, when he's talking about like, Kate, Lane Park, I want you to think of the biggest gorillas of men you've ever met in your life, who are completely and utterly pissed. It was not a place you wanted to go to. Yeah. Unless you were a Queenslander and you were a male, you were screwed. Yeah. It was the hardest place in the world to go to. One of the toughest footballers of all time is a man called Tommy Raudonikis. And even he said it was as scary as anything when you ran out to that field. They don't care. They don't give a crap. They have a place where you can walk to, and all the pubs are there before you get to the New Lane Park, which is Suncorp.
Yep.
And all they do is drink and just bag the shit out of anyone who's from New South Wales. And if you're wearing a jumper, you're going to cop it. So two mates of mine and I, we're rugby boys, so we had our New South Wales jumpers on. We went for it. We walked up and we took all the crap we could from them. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
They just were giving it to us. And I was just standing on the sideline going, firing shit back at them all the time. And Danny's right. If you're not ready for those kind of gigs, if you're not ready for the fact that, I mean, Kate, you're even a step ahead of both of us. You're a woman. Every single thing you can think of, your body, your sexuality, all of these things are going to come into account when you get up there.
Yeah.
It's going to be those comments. You've got to be ready to take that and then come back with something.
Oh, that's right.
You've got to be 3 steps ahead of where you are.
Yeah.
You've got to know, as I said to you before, my protection was my Elvis suit. My protection was my singing.
Yep.
So if you were in a crowd and you were a dick, then my place was straight away. I get off the stage, I go straight over to you, and I start singing to you. Now, I want you to think you're a man. You don't like anything to do with these kind of, with someone being, I don't know, a little bit gay towards you.
Yeah.
And I start singing The Wonder of You to you. And I start putting my hand down on your shoulder. And I start looking at you and singing The Wonder of You and talking about how your kiss is the best. And you can see the look on their face of pure horror.
Yeah.
And this guy was being a real dick one night, like just being usual drunk, pathetic male chauvinistic pig. And I'd had enough. And he was being rude to some of the barmaids. So I went down and I sang to him. And I totally embarrassed him. And I did it meaningless. Like, I did it so that he was embarrassed.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah, that's what they've said to do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the best thing to do, but I did it.
Yeah.
And then when I finished, I put my microphone down and I leaned into him and I said, don't be a dick, mate, or I'm coming back and I'm doing this again. And it's going to be even worse the next time. So he decided to be a dick. So the next time I did it, I undid the jacket like I'm singing and I'm undoing my Elvis suit and I'm going like this to him. And that was it. He'd had enough and he took off.
Yeah.
And it was just a lesson to everybody else that don't here's the thing, Kate, you've got power. And this is what I always say. Excuse my language, but do not fuck with the man or the woman who's got the microphone in their hand.
Yeah.
Because that's your power.
That's right.
Power
Yeah.
will come.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you've got to learn to be quick. When they say, show us your dick, go, well, you show me yours first.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see. Yeah, that's right. Let's see who's bigger. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm guessing by the looks of you, mate, that,
I
you'd be
win.
a bit of a D cup. Bit of a D cup.
Yeah.
You've got to learn that they're going to attack you. Danny will know. Being a comedian's the worst. You are seriously standing in front. I want you to think you're the Christians and they're the lions.
Yeah.
And they're coming for you.
Yeah.
You've got to be ready for that. You've got to have such a thick skin that you do not take anything at all. Whatever comments they come at you, you must be humorous and funny and ready to go.
Yeah.
One of the ones you should watch is Carl Barron. He's really good at it.
Yeah.
He's really good.
Yeah.
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 Really, it's I think if you also try to invent a character.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah,
good call.
Invent a character that totally disarms them. And then if you came out as a character, and I would say just try this. If you come out as a character and totally disarm the audience, because they'll go, what's this? Who's this? How is this? Why is this? Sort of thing. So you get their attention and you've got, say, a solid 5 minutes with that, 5 to 6, 7 minutes with this character.
Yeah.
And then finish up on something, you take the hat off, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then you become you.
Yeah.
then they accept you more then, and they
Yeah.
go,
'Cause, yeah.
what else has she got? You know,
Yeah, that's
because
right.
then you might have a whole bunch of them.
That's
Good
exactly
point.
right.
I'm just going to make a note. Very good.
Totally disarms them.
Gary's
Yeah.
absolutely right.
Well, I
Your
remember
whole-
doing. Yeah. I'm just saying.
Sorry, mate.
We
All I
were
was
doing
going to say is that
Yeah.
you got to remember that you got to be the, you know, your, as I said, you should be on that stage. You deserve to be on that stage.
That's
So
right.
say it to yourself, I deserve it.
Yeah.
So if you deserve it, why the hell should I stand there and take shit from you?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't get angry. Just make it a joke.
Nah, that's right.
Remember never to get personal.
Yeah.
There used to be times when we do a promotion with a radio station or a TV station and that, and in Brisbane we would have some characters. Well, obviously at the time we had Joe Bjelke-Petersen. We have Stefan, the hairdresser. There was a couple. There was a couple others. So I could, at different places, I could come out and I get the guy, the MC, to say, "Ladies and gentlemen, blah 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 blah." And here he is, the Premier of Queensland, Sir Joe Bjelke-Petersen. And you get a few boos, a few things going. And he used to wear a hat, and I'd walk out and walk up the microphone and just start talking like a. So you did ramble on for about 5 minutes as that, and then finish, and they go, "Great." And then the bloke would say, "Danny, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Danny McMaster." And they go, "Oh, right." So then I'd go into other things and what have you. And even if there was Stefan involved, I would come out and do him. And it used to slay him. And that was the way you got on to do your show and what have you. We did one time in Seagulls, I had Joe in the toilet before the show. And it was, so the spotlight came onto the curtain, and then you could hear him talking, but they couldn't see him, and they were moving the spotlight around. So they moved it around down to left, right. There was this toilet, and there's this flush and all this sort of stuff. And my goodness gracious me, and I'm hitting the wall and stuff. And then I walk out and go, "This is the strangest looking stage I've ever been on in my whole life. What's going on here?" And the people, they're all pissing themselves. So I had to walk up to the stage, and one of the agents that I knew very well turned around and said, "Mate, that's one of the best openings I've ever seen." And I said, "If Joe Bjelke-Petersen would live forever, then I could use this forever, but I couldn't." There was also a good way, was a song. I had a song, it was called "Got to Get Rid of This Band." It was the opening song. Got to get rid of the band. I go through the band one by one, what this guy did. This guy's a druggie, this guy's a drunk, this guy's gay, this guy's whatever. And I go through this whole thing. And it was just a special song. And I used that for months and months and months at one stage. There were things like that. And just that initial thing to get on the stage, using a character or some sort of gimmick. It's like a gimmick to actually get on first. And then they know, they've sort of got on a bit of an idea of who you are. Then you go, boom, here I am. And now you can do your bit. And then you'll figure out which way you want to go. Because, I mean, Barry Humphries never went on as Barry Humphries. He always went on as a character, you know.
Same as Gary McDonald doing Norman Gunston.
Yeah. They hide behind the character,
There you go. Exactly what I was saying with Elvis. You know, you can hide. It gives you the ability to
freedom.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and exactly right. It's a freedom that you'll get and the funny thing is, you will find you will use that in your own life, not even just on stage, but you will find it gives you a release. You get to do something completely different. It's hard enough to be the person who stands up in front of somebody to perform. You know, I was very lucky. I grew up in a family of gregarious people, from my parents to my brothers who are all older than me. Every single person can sing and perform. Every single person knows what to do on a stage. So when you grow up, all you think to yourself is, "Oh, I can do this." And when you're constantly getting people who are with you going, "Oh, you got this. Oh, you can do this. Yeah. You know what to do. You've seen it. You've done it before."
Yeah.
You then feel that strength that comes from it. And there are going to be performances where you just think to yourself, "What the fuck am I doing here?
Yeah.
Why am I doing this?"
Yeah.
I just seriously? you just think to yourself, why did I choose this?
Yeah.
And then there are going to be those ones that you just go, oh my God, I do not want to do anything else in my life. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
So, and that's what it is. That's how it is. It's not easy, but I tell you, it's the best feeling in the world as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Yeah.
I unfortunately have to take off, guys. I'm sorry. I've got...
Oh,
No worries. We've
Is
been
it?
here,
I've got to get going.
we've been
It
here
is
for a
6
while,
o'clock.
so
Yeah. Yeah, we'll call
Yeah.
it quits. We'll call it quits for the
All
night.
right.
So you back on Friday? Friday, James?
Yes. Yes.
me, Friday, I'm not sure. I should be okay.
Oh, well, let me know.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Okay.
It's great meeting you, Danny.
Same
Really
to you,
wonderful
James.
meeting you, mate. I've got so many more questions for you, dude. So
Okay.
many more questions.
No worries.
All right.
All right.
Take it
care,
easy, guys. See you later.
Thank you.
See ya.
See you
Bye.
then.